In this video tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the vignette and vignette exposure effects. First, I'll go ahead and show you the vignette exposure effect. If you just want something, if you want some shading done on the sides, I would actually go with vignette exposure. It's the simpler version. It's a lot easier to use, and if you decrease the amount, you can get more shading on the sides. If you increase the amount, then you get a brighter gradient from the sides. Personally, I would actually decrease it to something like this, and then you can decide the midpoint, like so. Even like this, it doesn't look too bad. And you can also decide the center positions and the stretch. For a center position, for example, if I move it 500 by 500 pixels, it moves the vignette exposure to from the center to the top over here. And it depends on what you're trying to do. Maybe if you're if you're focusing on a frame, for example, if you don't have the video camera moving and you just want to move the focus, this is one way you can do it. You can notice that the shading is different when I move the point of position over here. See? And to reset it, right click and reset. And so right now it's at the center. You also have some stretch options. You have a global stretch, like so. You can see that it's actually like a circle that comes in like this. And personally, I would probably leave it at default. You also have a horizontal stretch, and you have a vertical stretch. And putting them to the max really just gets rid of the vignette exposure, unless you put it to the max like that. And finally, you have rotate if you want to rotate the vignette. It's not very apparent when you apparent like this. Maybe if I decrease the amount like this, and if I apply a stretch, because if you rotate a circle, it's the same length on all sides, right? So in order to see this rotation, you would have to stretch it and make it an oval. Then you'll see the rotation. And you know, you can this is how vignette exposure works. The next effect is just a regular vignette. I'll go ahead and delete this effect. Right click, delete. I'm gonna go to the regular vignette, apply it to my video clip, and already it looks pretty nice. Add some shadow to the edges, which is reminiscent of like a I think the old video cameras. They used to have darker edges. Either that or the analog televisions didn't used to accurately display the color because they didn't use pixels. They just used like a cathode ray tube. So they would have darker edges on the sides of the television. And so in this vignette exposure, you have width, which decides the width of the vignette. And by the way, if you take away the softness, you can see that this is indeed a circle, and the softness is kind of makes a gradient. For now, for the sake of demonstration, I'll leave the softness at 0, so you can see what I'm doing. So the width decides how wide the vignette is. I'll reset that. The height decides how high the vignette is. If you I'll go ahead and apply a softness so you see how that looks. I'll actually just leave this on like that and reset the height. Horizontal stretch. There's also vertical stretch. I'll go ahead and reset these. And there's curvature, which decides how much you want to curve this. So you can think this of like 2 layers. There's a softness layer and curvature layer. Curvature works with the inner layer. Softness works with the outer layer. If you increase the softness, you can see that this it works with the point from the middle. If you work with the curvature, it goes outward, if you notice. Yeah, personally, unless you know what you're doing, I wouldn't mess with these. I'll reset all of these. Now it's to the regular configurations, and finally you have opacity. You also have the option of working with the background, and so that you can see that the edges become transparent if that's what you're looking for. And you can also decide the color of the background, so something like green. Okay, and I'm actually going to reset that. And finally, I'll show you. Now, if you want to know what the optimal configuration for the vignette is, you can either leave it default without changing any of the configurations. If I take off the vignette, you can notice the change. And now, if you want to make it look more better, in my opinion, if you decrease the width just a little bit, and if you decrease the height just a little bit, and then you increase the softness just a bit, I think that looks really nice and really puts a focus on what's in the middle. You know, I will actually decrease this a bit more, and probably there you go, increase the curvature just a bit. I think personally this looks a bit this doesn't look too bad, but you know, yeah, something like this is fine. And so I'm gonna go ahead and show you how this looks. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments below. I'd appreciate if you like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Bye.